Be ready, Brian.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. You are watching the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie. Now, it says Frisco on my screen because that's where I started with my Community Difference show, but we are focused on Wylie today. So at the very top of the screen, you can see that. I'm really excited to be here today. This is version 2 or episode 2 of the Wylie show. I had the chance to watch episode 1, and I just love the energy that group brought. It sounds like the group that makes up the Master Network's Wylie chapter is fantastic. So I'm excited to get to meet a few more of those members. You're looking at me. I'm Brian Poduska, owner of Real Property Management Focus in Frisco, Texas. I'm also a member of a Master Networks chapter in Frisco and visited several others across my several years of networking with Master Networks. So to see that show earlier in the week, it aired on Tuesday, and to hear about that chapter was fantastic. Like I said, high energy, passionate, and then some of the things they talked about were not just highlights of their businesses, but also some of the struggles that go along with it. So hopefully we'll get into some of that today as well. You're watching the North Texas Community Difference show, which is the concept has evolved over the last, what I'd say, probably, 6 or 8 months. We started focusing on communities. So we had a Plano show. We have a Frisco show. We now have the Wylie show. And really, it's grassroots talking about business ownership or community initiatives and community involvement within those communities. And in this case, we have a Master Networks Wylie chapter, which, the business owners are from that area and participate in the community. So we're going to have a little segment to dive a little bit deeper into Wylie as we go. But thanks for joining us today. Like I said, looking forward to meeting our co-hosts and then their guests as well. Lennon Wilson is in the background. He's the creator of the
I'm here.
What's up, my man? How are you today?
Just had a little issue with the intro, so we'll get that worked out. I'm not sure what happened with that, but we'll get it worked out for next show.
That's all good. So, a little side story. We also have a radio station that we're launching too. Woke up at 5 a.m. this morning to a bunch of tracks that I had given Lyndon, and they were playing this morning. So you can work on the music on the intro, Lyndon, but at least you had the radio station rocking and rolling this morning.
Yeah, we're excited about that too, because we will be going live on the radio before the end of the month. So not only will you be able to watch it on our YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn channels, but you'll also be able to listen to it. So,
yeah, I look forward to that. I got a sneak peek of it this morning, and it helped me get energized for the morning. But enough about all that. Let's focus on what we have coming up today. So, Lennon, if you don't mind, let's bring on our guests. Our co-hosts, not guests. Cordell and Lynn, how are we doing today, guys? And Cordell, you're muted, just FYI. There we go.
Hey, I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being, guinea pigs number 3 and 4. I could say the two co-hosts for episode 2. Pleasure to meet you guys. I haven't had the pleasure yet, so it is a pleasure to meet you guys, at least online here through a podcast and radio show. Similar to what we do in the Master Networks chapter, I'm going to ask each of you guys to just tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us a little bit about your business, and we'll have the opportunity to go a little bit deeper later on in the show. But just give us the highlights of what you do and what drew you and kept you as part of the Wylie chapter. And ladies first, we'll let Lynn go first.
Thanks. So I am a realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex. I've been doing real estate for a little over a decade. What drew me to Master Networks is truly just the people. I know a lot of the people that were part of the chapter before I even knew what Master Networks was. They invited me as soon as there was a spot open, and I'm loving every moment of it. Met a lot of great people. I have a great referral source. So being a realtor, that's what you want to do is to become your client's referral source. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lynn. Appreciate that. Cordell, tell us about yourself.
All right. So my name's Cordell Reynolds. I am a senior loan officer with New Res. I've been in the mortgage business for just a little bit of under a decade, and really got into Master Networks with the group that actually launched this chapter. So we had tried to start different networking groups in the Wylie area for about 3 or 4 years. At that time, when we got the opportunity to learn about Master Networks, we launched it and actually ended up becoming the fastest growing chapter in the country, and have been rocking and rolling ever since.
Well, that's fantastic, and I do know a few members in your chapter who I absolutely love. They're fantastic. We'll have them on the show, I think, next week, based on what I saw on the schedule. But I just love the energy that was brought on the show earlier in the week. So with Master Networks, right? You're invited for a couple times before you actually have to join if you want to keep coming. Tell me your guys' journey as far as what attracted you to the chapter, and then what kept you there.
Ladies first still?
Yes, always.
Okay. Well, I mean, the people. I mean, we can say it over and over again. Everybody in that group is high energy, and it is just a great group. And I've had a few face-to-faces, which I'm working on going through the whole entire group, and each and every one that I've met with, we're just, it's like we've known each other. So we just get to talking, and it's more family oriented. They become your family as you go. And being part of leadership, I haven't been able to fulfill like every Thursday, but once that's done, I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody more.
Fantastic.
So I would second that. Realistically, it ultimately comes down to the people and the family that we build. I say that all the time. It's the best group in the world is what I said this morning, right, Lynn? On earth. As the president of the chapter, I get an opportunity to stand in front of the group every single week. But ultimately, the opportunities that I get when we have our face-to-faces, or we're doing our community service events, or we're doing all of the additional things outside of just that 1 hour meeting that have helped us grow as individuals, but ultimately grow closer as friends, is what kind of kept me there after the initial launch and starting to see the ROI. That's obviously a big part of it as well. Being able to spend time with people and grow my business at the same time.
No, that's great, and you're right. I mean, the whole purpose of networking is to obviously grow your network, but also make a little money, right? As a business owner and entrepreneur. So ROI is important, but you don't get to the ROI without establishing the relationships. And what I can tell you, I've watched you guys from afar because, like I said, I do know several folks in that group, and I've seen posts about some of the extracurricular activities that you guys do, team building type stuff that you guys do outside of the Thursday meetings. So you guys must have had your meeting, 9 o'clock, I think 9 to 10. So
correct.
We're hopping on as a follow up to that. But I've seen you guys do stuff outside of the normal meeting periods as a group, and I think that's fantastic. So no, you guys have done a great job, and are very much a model chapter as far as building those trusting relationships and fostering those, really. And this, what we're doing right now, is really just an extension of that. So again, I appreciate you guys jumping on today and sharing your stories, and then also introducing your guests to our audience and then to each other as well. And that's the whole purpose of the Pod Connect and the Community Difference. So with that being said, we do have to take a break here for a short commercial break, and then we'll come back. And what I do want to do is do something called What's Up Wylie, which I think Lennon launched last week. So we'll do that on the backside of the commercial, but let's launch that commercial right now, Lennon.
The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie is made possible in part by Marley Knapp with Norwex, chemical-free sustainable solutions for your home. Melissa Berry with Lawyer's Title. Melissa Mancini, owner of Melissa Mancini Photography. Don't let your babies grow up to be JPEGs. and by Terrapedia with Texan Window Cleaning. Don't let dirty windows be your pane in the glass. The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie. Together, we can make the difference.
And now back to the show.
All right, some good taglines in there. I like the
Pretty creative group.
some panes in my glass. All right. Okay, so we'll do a little brief segment here that Landon started last week. It's called "What's Up, Wylie?" Right. So the idea is, you guys are focused in Wylie, operate in Wylie, obviously beyond Wylie too, from a realtor and a loan officer standpoint, but specific to Wylie. Name what's going on. What's the big priority going on in Wylie right now? What does the community need to know about that doesn't live in Wylie or wants to know more about Wylie?
Well, recently the mayor just proclamated this week as Small Business Week, and today we've got Picnic on Ballard. We've also got Leadership Wylie that we're on Class 19. I wanted to touch a little bit about that because I'm one of the liaisons for Class 19, and we are about to graduate. And if you want to go through the inner workings of the city and just learn about how this city functions and what's coming to the city and, how you can get more involved, this is a great opportunity to be that leader in your community. And we are graduating, I believe, May, the last week of May. And once the class graduates, we'll be taking applications for the Class 20. So really excited about that. So come be a leader.
And
that's awesome. And not to jump in, Cordell, we'll go over to you here in a second, but the North Texas Community Difference Show Frisco had a feature about 3 weeks ago. The Leadership Frisco team, very similar to the Leadership Wylie team, they were running a fundraiser. So we were able to get them on and talk about their fundraiser and a little bit more about their program. And I echo what you say, Lynn. If it's anything like the Leadership Frisco team, you get to learn so much about whatever city you're in, the inner workings of it, the different governmental aspects of it, the different corporations that are there. So I echo what you're saying about the leadership community, whether it's Wylie or Frisco, you name it. But it's a great organization or group to get into, and it just hones your skills in so many different ways. So thanks for sharing that. Cordell, go ahead and we got a comment. Another Leadership Wylie member. Awesome. Right. Yeah, so same message. All right, Cordell, what you got, man?
So a couple of events coming up, obviously on this weekend. The big one is the pedal car races. I know my daughter has done that for the last couple of years. She's a little bit too big to do it this year, but she's always looking forward to going out there and watching. So even if you don't have kids that can participate, it's just fun to go out and hang out in the city, in downtown Wylie. That's going to be on Saturday. And then this Friday, the new Frost Bank located over next to the Tom Thumb off of 544. They're going to be having their official grand opening. So they're going to have food and prizes and all of those things on Friday afternoon. So that's a good time to kind of go check out a new banking center in the community and meet a few people there as well.
Fantastic. I love it. Love it. All right. Well, that's what's happening in Wylie. I love that segment because it gives a nice flavor for what's going on in the community. So thank you guys for bringing that to the forefront. What we're going to do is kind of bring the folks that we're spotlighting right now and kind of the reason for being, right, and that is bring on your guests. So let's bring in the guests and let's let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about themselves, and we'll go from there. How we doing, guys?
Awesome.
All right. Well, in the spirit of ladies first, Lynn, I'll let you introduce your guests and let Jessica talk about herself a little bit.
So my guest is Jessica Green. She is the founder of Wylie ASD Moms. I met her at the right moment, at the right time. My son was diagnosed through the school district with autism. And that's like one of the most, I hate to say it's scary, moments because I didn't know what autism was, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people still don't know what autism is. And it looks different on everyone. And, and just having a mom support group that I was able to have play dates with, have mom's nights out, just to decompress, it was just a godsend. And so she founded this Wylie, I guess, based ASD group. And we started with maybe 6 or 7 moms, and it's now what, Jessica, over 100. And I'm hoping to help
over
her.
150. Yeah.
I'm hoping to help her grow that so that we can meet more amazing moms and support each other on this, fun but scary, but ride called autism. So
yeah, cool. Well, thank you for inviting me, Lynn, and thank you guys for having me on. I'm really grateful to be here. Lynn's great, love her. So yeah, I'm Jessica Green. I live in Wylie, and I grew up in Wylie, though I went to school outside the district, and I moved away for college and got married. And my husband and I were living near downtown Fort Worth and had our daughter, and realized we needed to get back closer to family because we didn't really have a community out there. And so we moved back to Wylie in 2012 and have been here since, and we love it. We love our neighborhood. We love the community, and just the feel of the town. We just love being here. So that being said, our daughter's first year of life, we were blissfully happy and unaware. And then as we entered into year 2, and she wasn't really talking, and there were some other sort of quirky behaviors that she was doing. And, fast forward, she was officially diagnosed in 2015, just after her 3rd birthday, with autism. And she was nonverbal until she was 4. And that was a long journey. And she's 11 now. And at the time when she was diagnosed at 3, we were given packets like this thick from our doctor and told we needed to get involved in this and that. And it was very, very overwhelming because we were trying to find private therapy, and, daycares really couldn't handle her anymore. And I was working. And so it was like, what are we doing? I don't know anybody with autism. I don't even know anybody with a special needs kid. Like, what do we do? So the first place we were directed was to Wylie ISD. A lot of parents don't know this unless they need to, but there's PPCD, which is the preschool program for children with disabilities. And what that does is the kids start at age 3 in the district, and they go through 5. And the hopes are that they will sort of get a leg up and help close the gap. And so they're ready to start kindergarten with their peers. So our daughter did that for 2 years. And that is how I met Lynn inadvertently, because we kept driving into the parking lot because it's only at one school in Wylie. They all come to that school for PPCD. And so I noticed, as I'm feeling very isolated and not knowing anybody else with a child remotely like mine, that the same cars and the same people are pulling in this parking lot. And it just seems weird to me that I don't know them. We're dropping off and picking up our kids at the same time. And I'm thinking, there's a commonality here, but we're not connecting. So I reached out to our teacher there at the time and asked if she could share a Facebook group with her class and the other teachers and maybe the principal, so that it could get out to the other moms. And at first it was in general for special needs parents. But I very quickly noticed that the parents who were really crying out for help were the autism parents. Now, that's not to say other disabilities are not challenging, but I just really noticed that. So we kind of branched that group off, and it became Wylie ASD Moms, which stands for Autism Spectrum Disorder. And that started in 2017. And that's when I met Lynn, because Lynn was one of those cars that was pulling in there. And we just started doing park meetups and mom's night outs. And oh my gosh, it was so impactful, because even with the 10 of us that it was, all of our kids had autism, and they were all relatively, on the younger side, so similar in age, but every single kid was different. Every single journey was different. How we got our diagnosis, how we made it to Wylie, how we made it to PPCD. So it was like, oh, I struggled with this, but you had a great experience with this. So let's collaborate and let's share this information. And so the group just continued to grow, which has been great. And in 2020, during the pandemic, Sonia with CNS Media from In and Around magazine did a feature of the group, and it was really great. She interviewed several moms in the group, and we got a ton of people joining after that. And we try to just share it by word of mouth as much as we can. And most parents will meet another parent and say, oh, you need to join the group. And that's how we're now at 163 members. And I think the interesting thing about that number is there are other support groups that are, towns, bigger groups, like in our area. There's also a huge group with over like 7,000 members that's for DFW. But it was really important to me to keep Wylie small, because I wanted to have people and a community in our town and in our school district that we were all right there together, so we could connect. So the stipulation of that group is you either have to live in Wylie city limits or you have to be zoned for Wylie ISD. So that's how we keep it small. And then if anyone comes to the group outside of that area, then we just refer them to, the bigger group. So they're still getting support, but we still keep that small, intimate community here for our Wylie moms. And I have to say, the Wylie moms are so supportive, and we have people from every race, every religion. Autism does not discriminate, and that's one of my most favorite things about this group, and getting to connect with ladies that I may or may not have met in any other way. So I'm really, really grateful to have made the connections that we've made, and I'd love to keep pushing this group out, because as more people move to Wylie, and of course more kids are diagnosed with autism, the recent statistic is now 1 in 36 kids have an autism diagnosis. And so there's a big, big need for support and resources, and helping each other not feel alone. So then I'd love to share really quick one other big, big dream that my family has. There's great therapies in Wylie now that have come here over the last 7 to 8 years, and they're doing a great job. They're having events here in Wylie to promote awareness and stuff for autism. But what we're still missing is a school, a special needs private school. And it's my family's dream to start a nonprofit so that we can be available for people of all economic statuses, and we want to be able to offer grants and assistance so that it doesn't matter what you make. If your kid needs that extra specialized, smaller education, I would love for that to be something that we can make happen, because the closest options are mostly in Dallas, one in Richardson, and a couple in Plano. But there's a big hole here in Wylie that's not being filled from that. So we need investors and educators and parents and this awesome community to help push it out. So.
Well, thank you, Jessica, for that. Because, I know of people who have moved to certain communities because they couldn't find what they needed for their autistic children in the communities that they had lived in. I love hearing about passion projects like that. You're living it. So, it doesn't get any more realistic than coming from somebody who's living it every single day. So thank you for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your dream, because I think that can come true, because there are a lot of people out there the numbers you just said, 1 in 36, the numbers speak for themselves. So thank you for sharing that. We'll get a little bit deeper into that potentially later on in the show. But in the meantime, we need to give Cordell's guests some airtime as well. So Cordell,
Sorry, Ty.
All good. So Cordell, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce your guest and let's learn about him.
Absolutely. So I've met Ty Bradshaw. Man, it's been 5-6 years, maybe it seems like, as a trainer extraordinaire over at Camp Gladiator. He's now been a stretch coach for me a couple of times as well with his business Stretch with Ty, and then of course the owner of the Legacy 360 photo booth. He did my daughter's sweet 16 birthday party. So a man of many talents. I want to make sure that the world get to meet the Mr. Extraordinary Ty Bradshaw.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here. As Cordell mentioned, most people in the area probably know me from the fitness space, both in the gym and teaching boot camp with Camp Gladiator. But almost a year ago, my entrepreneurial spirit saw an opportunity to start Legacy 360 photo booth, to do, parties, weddings, corporate functions. So I'm excited to be here to kind of share with the audience an effort to kind of expand that business and just let people know that it's available for them. So again, thanks, Cordell, for having me here.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's and our producer founder in the background, Lennon Wilson, has a passion for gym and fitness. I know that was part of his previous entrepreneurial experiences as well, so he may have a little bit to chime in on that one.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys, for sharing about what you do, what you're passionate about. Appreciate all of that. In the meantime, we're going to cut to a commercial break, and on the backside of that commercial break, we're going to do a little bit of deep diving into roundtable discussion, and the topic of the month is community involvement. So we'll get into that topic on the back end, but right now, Lennon, hit the commercial.
The North Texas CommunityDifference-Wylie is made possible in part by Juan Payon and JP Health Direct. Affordable health insurance solutions for individuals, families, and small businesses. Allison Wilson and Community Wealth Advisors, Life Well Planned. Angela Tucker with Coldwell Banker Apex. Here to help you discover your real estate dreams and build wealth through all stages of life. And by Dr. Chelsea Nutt with Retrouve Wellness. Feel it to heal it. And Cordell Reynolds with New Res Mortgage. Your mortgage journey starts right now. The North Texas CommunityDifference-Wylie. Together, we can make the difference.
And now back to the show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So as I mentioned before the commercial break, topic of the month is community involvement, just as a general headline. And as it relates to us as small business owners, entrepreneurs, is kind of how we're going to take a look at it. So I always love hearing thoughts, especially from folks that are involved in the community, small business owners. I guess the first question would be, how have you guys been able to get involved in the community, from just a kind of a grassroots effort? So I guess it's a twofold question. How have you gotten involved? And number two, what are the benefits that you've seen in getting involved in the community? So I'll throw it out there. Whoever wants to go first can chime in.
Yeah. Well, I'll be happy to go first. So I've been teaching on the fitness space, or in this fitness space in Wylie, for the better part of 11 years or so. And in our boot camp situation, we're trying to actually create a community and take that community and then support local community. So we've done a lot of volunteering efforts at food pantries, supported local restaurants by going out together. And it's a twofold thing, right? One, you are supporting local business, but one, it allows other people to then see what you're doing, right? Especially in the fitness arena, so many people can be either turned off by it, scared by it, but when they see a group of people that have found community and it's beneficial to their body, it creates a twofold opportunity when we're out doing different things. And probably one of our biggest ones is being active in the schools, from doing, their community service projects and working with teachers, getting them discounts to do our programs has been very beneficial because teachers tend to have access to everybody through their kids. So it has helped us grow our community there as well.
That's awesome. So let me ask you another question, Ty. How did you go about establishing those relationships and getting involved in with those groups?
So it's interesting at when people work out together, it comes to a point where they want to start doing things together because they're creating their own little friendship circles within there, right? It's so weird that you could have great friends, but then if you're not physically doing something together, it changes the dynamic of there. Like there's this commonality when people are being physical together, and they just have their own unique bond. So it may start with 2 or 3 people saying, "Hey, let's go do this together," and then it turns into, like, as a group, we have a dedicated day where we're trying to go, support a local restaurant and bring as many people as possible. So early on, we realized, hey, if we could just kind of get consistent with now pre-COVID, we used to try to do happy hour together every 4 weeks or so and just pick a different local restaurant. So it was kind of easy given that we had the community and then we were shifting the community to something else local.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Anybody else? Community involvement. I know, Lynn, with Leadership Wylie, you guys are quite involved. So tell us about the community level involvement that you guys have done and how it's been beneficial to your business and then small business in general.
Well, I love leadership so much that I did it twice. Like I said, I'm liaison, so we get to do it all over again and kind of see it at a different perspective. We do a lot. We get to visit a lot of the nonprofits. There was a day that we get to go through the nonprofits. There were a lot of nonprofits that I didn't know existed in Wylie. So that was very eye-opening. And then also through leadership too, we were able to get volunteer opportunities. And a lot of times I think a lot of our community members don't know how to volunteer, how to get involved. And so, just to make awareness of these, organizations that could use the help at any time, going through leadership helped me do that and get very involved. Just recently, I volunteered at the Taste of Wylie, which is another one of the awesome events that Wylie hosts to support small businesses in the area. We had so many different new restaurants that were, giving out samples, and the weather was great. Attendance was great. And it's a time for the community to get together and just get to know the businesses that make the backbones of Wylie.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, I think you brought up a great point with nonprofits. I know everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of folks, especially if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you may have a passion project like Jessica's. Clearly, she's gotten hers off the ground and is really making an impact in the community. But I think just like anything else, I'm in the real estate, property management business, and we work with investors all the time. And they always say that the hardest step is making that first step. So like your point, Lynn, how do you get involved? I think that is the biggest thing, to form those relationships and create those opportunities. Nathan, you've got a great question there. Of the organizations that you partner with, what do you think is the overall deficit of volunteer need? Where's the need? Does anybody have an opinion on that?
I think the need is everywhere. It's everywhere that you can see where you can help and serve. I think every nonprofit needs it. Here in Wylie, we definitely do have a lot of community service, but go ahead, Cordell.
I was just going to say that I think that that just exactly what you said, Lynn. The need is everywhere. Ultimately, it comes down to what do you feel passionate about, and how can you plug in. As a chapter with Master Network, we try to do at least one community service event every quarter, and that's ranged from us going and, like Ty said, all showing up at a restaurant and making sure that we give a huge tip to the waitress to make sure that they're going to have a great Christmas. We've done that 2 years in a row. That from showing up at the food pantry and packing food and delivering out to cars as people are in a need-based situation where they don't have the resources to be able to provide for themselves on a daily basis. And so there's great pantries out there that need volunteers to be able to come in and fill the bags, that need volunteers to be able to provide that service of taking it out to the car for them, so they feel a sense of pride. People have a sense of pride whenever they're showing up to these places, but we want to make sure that we're serving them with a open heart and a big smile. And so there's plenty of places that you can plug in and help out from a volunteer perspective. But ultimately, I think if each person listening to this can find out what it is that they're passionate about, how can they open up their hearts and be able to give back, I think we're going to continue to grow and expand the Wylie way, and expand what we can do here in Wylie.
Yeah, if I could piggyback on that, it's really interesting because until you look at some things, sometimes you don't even realize how big the need is. I think one of the easy go-tos is places like food pantries. I think we often forget how many people are what they call food insecure, right? People don't just speak up and say, hey, I need. But when you go to these food pantries and realize how big that deficit is, one, yes, in volunteering, but two are the resources, right? Whether it's a financial gift to let them purchase or you bringing food items there. I was astonished years ago. For Christmas, we used to, instead of getting angel trees, right, as a community, we decided we're just going to pick one gift and buy a bunch of them, right? And a couple of years ago, we started buying bikes, and I had this goal of getting to 100 bikes to give away. And when they were collecting the bikes, I think it was at Cooper, they were collecting them. I was astonished at how much stuff was being collected for the kids, because I didn't realize the need was so great, right? It was, I live in a great community, so it's easy for me to not be aware that here in Wylie, there is an extreme need for like some basic items, right? And I think we take that for granted sometimes. So never underestimate how much just basic household items can help another family in this community.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ty, and I think that's true for a lot of these local communities, right? They're financially very well off in general, right? But there's a great need that oftentimes flies way under the radar. So yeah, and it's exposure to those that people are willing to help. It's just we need to connect the dots as much as we can, right?
Right.
So thank you for sharing that. And I've noticed some comments coming in. Jen Connolly, I saw you had commented. How you doing? Good to see you, at least virtually. Nathan, thanks for throwing that question out there. I do want to just let people know, if you're watching live, feel free to throw questions out there to the group, especially in this section. It's a roundtable. So if you have something that you want, you want socialized, we can easily do that. So Nathan, thank you for throwing that question out there. I'm going to ask a question that's a little bit different bend on it, and it's involving challenges. So have you guys encountered any challenges as you've been trying to get to the community involvement aspect, or grassroots type effort? Have you met any resistance or had any issues with trying to get involved on the community level?
I don't think so in Wylie. I mean, I don't know about other cities, but Wylie is pretty open to any help at any time. And I was talking to a prospect the other day. They called in asking about, why Wylie, and I kind of just went on and on. I love Wylie, but he just told me how passionate I sounded when I spoke about the community, and how all our small business owners here nonprofits, are servant-hearted, and I feel that speaks for the entire community. Even leadership, Master Networks, and just everybody I've met here in Wylie. We might be a big city now, but we still very much feel like a small town. Everybody knows each other.
I will say that I have experienced a little bit of a challenge, and it's not necessarily because of serving or a challenge serving. It's more of a challenge of how we approach the serving, right? And so last year I had a client that was part of a local organization here in town that really serves animals with disabilities. So animals that have lost limbs or developmental disabilities, all of those types of things. And my oldest daughter is an absolute animal lover. And when she found out about it, she wanted us to do something additional. And so at the end of the service of us taking care of them, we actually ended up making a donation in their name to the organization. And we came up with the ideal of continuing that for anybody else in that group that wanted to utilize our service, and we make a donation on their behalf, going forth for the years to come. And it was not receptive at all. And I think part of the reason it wasn't receptive was, one, we didn't do enough time, a well enough job developing those relationships and building that trust prior to making that offer. And two, people kind of felt like it was just sometimes people can take that type of opportunity where it was a true opportunity for us to be able to give back part of our resources. But sometimes people can see that as just a money grab or an opportunity for me to capitalize on a market to gain business, when ultimately the goal was not necessarily just to be able to gain business, but to be able to continue to give back for something that my daughter is passionate about.
So, and that's a great point, Cordell, because to me, that sounds like that's more of a messaging, or like you said, I guess building that relationship and then messaging as to why and what, because you're passionate, your daughter's obviously passionate about it, and it drove you guys enough to make that donation in their name. But if all the dots aren't connected, then it could come across as potentially not I guess what's the word I'm looking, not
genuine.
Genuine. No, good call. Yeah, good word. So okay, that's a good lesson. I guess it's unfortunate because it was a passion. It was driven by a passion, right? So yeah, that's a good lesson. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have any challenges that they've encountered? So that's an interesting example, because that's a tough one to overcome. But let's think about that a little bit more, because there are some other challenges that would present themselves from a time standpoint, from a lack of knowledge that we've already kind of touched on. But let's think about that. We're going to go to a commercial break real quick, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into the community involvement and maybe some challenges across that, and then what we're looking like in the future. So that's what we'll touch on the back end. Right now, Lennon, hit the commercial break.
The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie is made possible in part by Jenny Connolly with TC Roofing and Restoration. Trust TC to keep you leak-free. Jessica Cooper with Diesel Signs and Displays. The Power of Advertising. Lynn Heverly with Coldwell Banker Apex, guiding you home with heart and expertise. Megan Lunt with Brightway Insurance. If you are not insured the right way, call Brightway. And by Marissa Page with Page Restoration. When the worst happens, let our family take care of yours. The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie. Together, we can make the difference.
And now back to the show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So we did touch on it a little bit earlier when we're talking about challenges, right? The lack of knowledge, I guess, of opportunities might be one. Ty, I love your example of, several folks kind of banding together and just saying, you know what, we're going to go out there and do it. Not necessarily knowing exactly how we're going to do it or what we're going to do, or you may know what you're going to do, but you don't necessarily know how to do it. So I think that passion and that getting together with like-minded people is a way to overcome that. But another one, maybe lack of time, right? As business owners, entrepreneurs, I fall in this category too. I don't necessarily have it as part of my annual plan as a priority as much as I probably should, to dedicate the time to get involved in the community. Now, some of the things that we do with Downtown Frisco, we're inherently involved a little bit there, but I think, just I'm thinking out loud here, if I put that as a bigger priority when I'm setting my plan for the year, I think that could help. But have you guys encountered that situation where you want to do it, but you haven't dedicated the time or the planning and set aside that time to actually go ahead and do it? Does anybody have a good example of that in your last couple of years, maybe?
Well, I have one in my own household right now, because I don't really plan for it. But I have a daughter who yearly has to get 100 hours of community service for an organization she's in. So I just kind of tag along with some of the stuff that they do. And it's almost like killing two birds with one stone, because it gives us some family time together as well as helping, right, whatever organization we're dealing with at the time.
It's a good way to do it, because anybody who has kids, if they're involved in activities, a lot of them have community service hours tied to that. So that's a good tie-in. Absolutely.
And I think many of the organizations that need help, they're not going out like organizing and asking for help, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a challenge, right? Where we may have a time gap in terms of availability and stuff like that, but we have the resources. For them, there's so much on their shoulders because of the volume of work they have to do, because sometimes it's just them or maybe just a few other volunteers. And I've never really thought about it. Like, is there a way to close that gap and get people tied into different volunteering efforts? We did one a couple weeks ago. This guy has his own kind of food pantry where every quarter he goes to, I think it's Honduras. He's a dentist. So he goes once a quarter to do dental work, but he also provides food. Like, that's what the volunteering was for. Now, this place is right down the street and has been for years, and I had absolutely no idea it was there, because there's no outreach to let people know that they need help. He's just doing the work, and it's being provided for. Like, he's not necessarily worried about where it's coming from, but there's just a lack of knowledge on my part and the part of many others, because we had no idea it was even there.
Yeah, I faced like similar stuff like that, Ty, like you're saying, it's right here and you didn't know anything about it, and it's tricky to get the word out, about our group, because obviously the school can't give me people's information because of privacy, so I can share it with my teacher every year, or my daughter's teacher every year, our school. I can share it with our therapy centers. I can share it with other moms, but then I still always have a mom say or two that I had no idea, this group was here, or, where have you guys been? And it's like, well, we've been here since 2017, but it's also because it's a private matter. It's some people don't want their kid's disability, advertised or whatever. So we have to be respectful of people's privacy. So it's like, how can I get the word out with all this sort of privacy constraints as well? And how do I, have people around me, like you were saying, Ty, know about it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm trying to tell everybody, but I still hear that people didn't know. So.
Jessica, that's an interesting thing that you mentioned, how some people just don't want people to know about their own child's disability. And I think when it comes to that, some of it is, people like you and like Lynn and that are open with their child's disability, like sharing their story more, right? So opposed to you trying to share about the organization, is really hearing your story for them to be comfortable to say, because I think sometimes people don't share out of an embarrassment that they shouldn't have. Right, because they don't know much about it. Nobody's helping them, so they're in their own little corner alone. But the more that you're talking about, how the organization, one, has helped you, by connecting with other people, but most importantly, how it's even helped your child. Like the more people hear about stories like that, they get more comfortable. Like, oh, if Lynn is comfortable, if Jessica is comfortable, right, and nobody's judging them or right, those type of things, then they feel more comfortable than asking for help. Because I think that's part of the challenge when people that need help, there's almost this embarrassment about asking. And how do you close that gap? I think is by sharing your own story and testimony.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because people get in isolation and they don't. You tell yourself you're the only one going through this.
Yeah.
You're the only one struggling. So you're right. Sharing our stories is how people know, wait a minute, there's a whole group of people who are living life just like me and struggling.
Like, you know, Lynn mentioned earlier, you know, when you guys met or when she had her child, she didn't even have a knowledge of what autism was. Right. And, you know, I think all of our awareness is increasing over the years, but I don't think you really start paying attention to it until it's a part of your world.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. The way that you interact with it becomes different at that point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you know, my son was diagnosed, I mean, first thing is, oh gosh, he's got this label, you know, and I'm pretty sure that's very common for a lot of moms. Like, what did I do wrong? I was devastated. But now I know, I mean, again, autism is just a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
They're highly intelligent, and Jessica, she's like a source of grants, and there's so many things out there that help support, you know, people on the spectrum. You just need that guidance. You need that support. You need to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because that's real important, because you do feel alone a lot, isolated, totally isolated.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're exactly right. And Jessica, I'm going to ask you, I guess, a direct question. Is there something we can do? And I'm going to say this collectively as small business owners, but also us as part of the difference that we can do to help your guys' effort. Obviously, Lynn, you're plugged into it too. What can we do as a small business community to help, you know, spread the word and get recognition out there just for people who are looking for those resources?
I mean, for the group, basically, if you know anybody who mentions autism and they live in Wylie, or their kids are, you know, enrolled or will be of age to enroll in Wylie ISD, please share the group. Like that's what we always ask everybody, please share. You know, and we have a really good resource that's been helpful in having other moms and our therapy centers here in Wylie do it. But until people start really hearing about it from everywhere, you know, and maybe we need to do something digital so that we can share with you guys. My wheels are turning now. Because we didn't have any of these, or I didn't have any of these connections before. You know, I know Lynn and I know a few other people, but you know, all of the leadership and things that are going on in Wylie, all those connections are pretty new to me. So I love to talk to people, as you can tell. I'm very passionate about it. So I would love to talk to anybody that's interested to help us kind of grow our group and do events. And then, of course, anybody that would want to partner to help push out that dream of having a school in our town as well. So I will talk to anybody and everybody that wants to talk to me about it. So you give them my name.
Okay. Well, we're here to broadcast what, you know, this information now. So no, exactly. That's what this is. That's what this is all about, right? We're trying to uplift and share out stories, not just business is what you do, but it's who we are and what we do. And there's usually a really passionate why behind it. So yours is clear. And Lynn, I mean, obviously you guys are connected very closely in that. So no, appreciate you sharing that. And, you know, whatever we can do here as part of the difference or as the Wylie business community, you know, we're here to do that. So
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, what we'll do right now is spend a couple more minutes on the topic of community involvement, and then we'll just wrap the show up by giving you guys 30 to 45 seconds, just again to kind of recap what it is you guys do, and you know, just talk a little bit about your business to remind folks what that is. But back on the topic of community involvement, especially as we've been through the crap, I'll call it, of COVID for the last several years, right? So we're finally, I think, past all that. I think that got people looking a lot more inward as to, okay, let's think a little bit more about the community, because the community in general needed a lot of help during that. What do you guys see the vision of the future of how small business owners, how we can carry that forward, and what the future of that, what the future of community involvement on the business level looks like? Anybody have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a big part of the awareness that came out of that period of COVID is, I'll speak for me. I try to be a lot more intentional about supporting other small businesses now. And then I think on the flip side of that, there are a lot more people who are more uncertain about, like, maybe their corporate jobs, so they're looking for small business opportunities. So I think the opportunity is twofold. One is just simply in supporting, right, and trying to support more small businesses. The other is finding ways to create relationships with people who are looking to grow a small business, and share our own testimonies, both wins and losses, because they have a road ahead of them that they may not be expecting, because they think it's going to be all good, and they're not thinking about the challenges ahead. And we have kind of the frame of reference to know that it's not necessarily smooth sailing going forward, but if you stick with it, there's great opportunities ahead.
That's awesome.
There was a post that I had copied and shared on Facebook that talked about small businesses. Not a lot of people realize that we put our heart and our souls and all our money into our small business. And, and we do get a lot of people who, expect this and expect that. And it sucks. Sometimes it's from close people. So I see here in the community, we do try to lift each other up. And that goes back to master networks. I mean, first, I would always refer within our small group before going out to anybody else.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you're exactly right in that, I think both of you guys' points, Ty and Lynn, the local business and smaller businesses have become much more of a focus and have gotten much more traction as people have either lost jobs or come out of. And I think especially, speaking from the real estate industry, we're in a tough world right now with increasing rates. And Cordell, I know you can relate to this. Just the number of deals that are getting done aren't what they used to be. And there's various economic reasons for that. So the more that we can all kind of band together and lift each other up, I think that's exactly right. And the more community involvement that we have, the easier that is to do, I think, for everybody to get together and do that. So with that, that's great input. So thank you. With that, let's go around the horn and just give everybody, 30 to 45 seconds to kind of recap who you are, what you do, so people know and how to get in touch with you. Again, interaction with the show, like us, share us out, because we want to get these messages out to folks. So again, we'll start with ladies first. We're going to do guests first. So let's start with Jessica first, then we'll go to Ty, and then we'll round it out. Cordell and Lynn, you can kind of close it out from a recap standpoint.
Okay, so two things. If you know anybody who has a family or a kid with autism in the Wylie area, please share the group, Wylie ASD Moms. It's on Facebook. And then also, if you know anybody that wants to partner with us or work with us to help open our special needs school in here, that would be wonderful. So those two things. Thank you guys for having me on.
Awesome.
Cool. Ty Bradshaw, Legacy 360 photo booth. If you have a wedding, a corporate opportunity, graduation, anything where you're looking to add a new element of fun to the event, I'd be happy to help you. You can find me by following me on Instagram at Legacy 360 photo booth, or emailing me at legacy360photobooth@icloud.com.
Awesome.
I'm Lynn Heverly, Coldwell Banker Apex realtor for a little over a decade. Real estate is real estate. I want to help you find your home, sell your home. And I'm here locally. I live in Saxe, but Wylie ISD. You can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, or search Lynn Heverly.
Awesome. Thanks, Lynn. Cordell, what you got?
All right, and I'm Cordell Reynolds with New Res. We are just a rock star company of a mortgage company. We're always looking forward to opportunities to help particularly first-time home buyers, but anybody that's in the market for real estate. If you're looking to build your wealth with real estate, I would love to sit down and have a strategy session with you to show you just how we could do that at a lot of times low to no out-of-pocket expense. And then you can reach me, very active on social media, so please feel free to find me on Facebook, Instagram, and newly to TikTok as well, always under just Cordell Reynolds.
Are you dancing on TikTok, Cordell?
I do not dance on TikTok. No dancing at all.
Hopefully that sticks around long enough to be fruitful for you. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for sharing everything about yourselves, everything about your businesses. It was truly a pleasure to meet you guys, firsthand. I feel like we've been sitting across the table from each other. And that's the beauty of the show, is that you get to meet so many people and so many different businesses and hear so many different stories and whys as to why you started the business that you did. So thank you all for sharing your journeys today. Cordell and Lynn, thank you for co-hosting today. It's been a pleasure. If you guys, hopefully this gives you a little bit of a feel for what the Wylie Master Networks group is all about. So, like the show, share it out if you can. If you're interested in getting to know more about that Wylie group, reach out to Lynn or Cordell. Cordell's the president, so he's got a little bit of pull in the organization and can maybe find a seat for you. But just go check them out. They'd love to have you out and just get to know that group a little bit better. But again, with that, guys, we'll close out the show. Thanks again. An awesome episode 2. And again, pleasure to meet everybody. You've been watching the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie show. And with that, we'll see you next Tuesday. Take care, guys.
Thank you for watching today's show. If you like today's show, please share, like, and subscribe, and make sure to shop, buy, and hire in Wylie. Special thanks to all the guests, co-hosts, and sponsors of the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie.
Thank you for tuning in and watching our show. If you would like to see our next show, or more shows like this one, just click the QR code and go to show schedules, or just follow and subscribe to our channels to get updates and notifications of this show, and many others like it.